There are more ants on Earth than there are stars in the Milky Way galaxy. An estimated 20 quadrillion individual ants currently alive, representing a collective biomass roughly equal to all humans combined. These tiny creatures, weighing collectively about the same as 8 billion people spread across every continent except Antarctica. A single ant is nearly weightless, averaging between 1 and 5 milligrams depending on species. Yet their sheer numbers mean that at any given moment, ants are moving more soil than earthworms, harvesting more seeds than birds, and hunting more insects than spiders. Their collective impact on ecosystems so profound that many environments would collapse without them. Some ant colonies have persisted for decades. The longest-lived ant supercolony discovered stretches over 3,700 miles along the Mediterranean coast, containing billions of individuals in millions of nests, all cooperating as a single vast organism that has existed for nearly 100 years, outliving most individual humans. And here's what almost nobody realizes. Ants have been farming for 50 million years, long before humans invented agriculture, cultivating fungus gardens, domesticating aphids for their honeydew, practicing sustainable harvesting techniques, and even using antibiotics to protect their crops from disease, creating agricultural civilizations beneath our feet, while our ancestors were still primitive mammals, hiding in trees. But let me start from the beginning. Welcome. I'm glad you're here. This is a space for calm exploration, where we examine the extraordinary complexity hidden in the seemingly simple, where we discover that the small contains as much wonder as the vast, that intelligence and civilization emerge in forms radically different from our own. If you're new here, this channel is dedicated to exploring fascinating subjects with gentleness and depth, making knowledge a companion to rest rather than a source of overstimulation. If you'd like to join us for more journeys like this one, I'd be grateful if you'd subscribe and turn on notifications. Your presence here means everything. Tonight, we're going to explore ants. Not the simple insects we step over on sidewalks, but the sophisticated social beings whose colonies function as superorganisms, whose communication systems rival computer networks, whose architectural achievements would humble human engineers if scaled to our size, and whose evolutionary success suggests that cooperation and specialization might be more powerful survival strategies than individual intelligence and strength. This isn't about cute nature facts or pest control. It's about understanding how radically different forms of consciousness organize matter, how evolution creates complexity from simple rules, and what these tiny beings reveal about cooperation, communication, and the multiple ways to build civilizations. Settle in. Let the world around you fade. And let's discover together what the world of ants reveals about life's possibilities. An ant colony is not a collection of individuals. It's a superorganism, a single entity distributed across thousands or millions of bodies, none of which individually possesses the intelligence the colony collectively displays. No ant understands the colony's structure. No individual knows where food stores are or how many workers exist. Yet the colony solves complex problems, adapts to changing conditions, builds elaborate structures, and maintains itself across decades. This emergent intelligence arises from simple rules each ant follows. Respond to chemical signals, follow pheromone trails, adjust behavior based on encounter rates with other ants. From these simple individual behaviors, complex collective behavior emerges. Efficient foraging, appropriate response to threats, optimal allocation of workers to different tasks, even democratic decision-making about nest locations. The colony is conscious in a way no individual ant is. It processes information, makes decisions, learns from experience, and adapts to its environment. But this consciousness is distributed, arising from interactions rather than residing in any single location. It's a form of intelligence radically different from vertebrate brains, suggesting that consciousness and problem-solving don't require centralized neural architecture, but can emerge from networks of simple processors following local rules. And this connects to something remarkable about how ants relate to other species. Some ant species practice animal husbandry, tending herds of aphids, protecting them from predators, moving them to fresh feeding locations, and milking them for honeydew. The sweet liquid aphids excrete after feeding on plant sap. The relationship is so ancient and refined that some aphid species have evolved to depend entirely on their ant shepherds, losing defensive behaviors because ants provide protection. The ants stroke aphids with their antennae, stimulating honeydew release, a behavior passed through generations without teaching, encoded genetically from millions of years of selection. The ants defend aphid herds aggressively, attacking ladybugs and other predators that would eat the aphids, behaving exactly like human shepherds protecting livestock. Some ants even build shelters around aphid colonies, constructing tiny barns from plant material to protect their herds from weather and predators. In autumn, some ant species collect aphid eggs, store them in their nests through winter, and in spring, carry the hatched aphids to appropriate plants to resume feeding. An agricultural cycle spanning seasons, planned and executed by organisms with brain masses measured in fractions of a milligram. Which brings us to understand the architectural marvels these creatures create. Leafcutter ant colonies construct underground nests that are engineering achievements, extending 20 feet deep or more, containing hundreds of chambers connected by tunnels, climate-controlled through sophisticated ventilation systems, and housing millions of inhabitants in organized sections, fungus gardens in humid chambers, nurseries for brood, waste disposal areas separated to prevent contamination, and even cemetery chambers for deceased ants. The nest's architecture creates airflow. Cool air enters through some tunnels, warms as it flows through chambers, and exits through other tunnels, creating convection currents that regulate temperature and carbon dioxide levels. The ants build these structures without blueprints or central coordination, each ant following local rules that collectively produce functional architecture. The excavated soil from nest construction creates massive mounds. A large leaf-cutter nest may contain 40 tons of soil, relocated pebble by ants weighing less than a gram each. The engineering challenges ants solve: structural support, ventilation, flood control, predator defense, mirror those human cities face. But ants solved them 100 million years ago, creating sustainable urban environments that last decades. But there's more to this story of collective intelligence. Ants communicate primarily through chemicals, pheromones produced by various glands, each pheromone conveying different information. Trail pheromones mark paths to food sources. Alarm pheromones signal danger. Recruitment pheromones call for assistance. Queen pheromones maintain colony cohesion, and many others create a rich chemical vocabulary. These aren't simple present-absent signals. Pheromone concentration and decay rate encode information about distance, urgency, and time. A strong trail means food nearby or recently discovered. A faint trail suggests distant or depleted resources. Multiple pheromones combine to create complex messages. Food here, help needed, danger nearby, conveyed through chemical combinations. Ants also assess information reliability through trial and error. Following strong trails leads to food, reinforcing the trail. Following weak trails leads nowhere, allowing the trail to fade. This creates emergent information. Processing. Good information amplifies through positive feedback. Poor information fades through neglect, producing collective decision-making more accurate than individual assessment. The pheromone communication system is chemical computation, turning the colony into a distributed information processor. And here's where it gets even more remarkable. These agricultural societies practice medicine. Leafcutter ants cultivate fungus gardens, feeding them with processed leaf material, harvesting the fungus as food. But their gardens are threatened by parasitic fungi that can destroy entire crops. The ants combat these parasites using antibiotics. They maintain colonies of bacteria on their bodies that produce antimicrobial compounds, specifically targeting the parasitic fungi, while leaving the cultivated fungus unharmed. The ants apply these antibiotics to their gardens systematically, preventing infection before it establishes. This medical practice is sophisticated. The antibiotic-producing bacteria live in specialized structures on the ants' bodies, provisioned with nutrients the ants secret, creating a three-way symbiosis: ants, cultivated fungus, and antibiotic-producing bacteria. This system evolved over 50 million years of ant agriculture, demonstrating that ants discovered antibiotics long before Alexander Fleming, developed targeted medical treatments before humans understood germ theory, and practiced preventive medicine while our ancestors were still hunter-gatherers. The ants' agricultural system is more sustainable than most human farming. They don't experience crop failures from disease because their medical interventions prevent epidemics. Their gardens remain productive for decades, and they maintain their antibiotic-producing bacteria without developing resistance problems. This leads to something equally fascinating about how ants navigate their world. Many ant species navigate using celestial cues. They can detect the sun's position even on cloudy days by perceiving the pattern of polarized light in the sky, an ability humans lack without specialized equipment. Desert ants are particularly impressive navigators. A foraging ant might wander hundreds of meters from the nest in complex search patterns, but once it finds food, it calculates the straight-line path back home, a navigation feat called path integration. The ant continuously tracks its movements, distance and direction from the nest, integrating these vectors mentally to maintain awareness of home's location relative to current position. This requires sophisticated internal computation, performed by a brain containing fewer than 1 million neurons compared to humans, 86 billion. The ant's navigation is so precise that it can walk directly to a nest entrance just millimeters wide, after a journey covering hundreds of times its body length through featureless terrain. Some species also use landmark memory, visual recognition of environmental features, and even count steps to measure distance. They've demonstrated in experiments that lengthening an ant's legs makes it overshoot the nest entrance, proving they're tracking step count to estimate distance traveled. But navigation isn't their only sophisticated behavior. Some ant species engage in warfare, organized combat between colonies involving thousands of individuals, with strategies, tactics, and even chemical weapons. Argentine ants, invasive in many regions, form supercolonies that battle each other along stable borders that persist for years. with daily skirmishes occurring at boundary zones. These battles have structure, raiding parties, probe defenses, main forces engage when opportunities arise, and ants use coordinated tactics to overwhelm defenders or protect territory. Some species take the warfare further. Slave maker ants raid other species' nests, stealing pupae which they raise as workers that then serve the slave maker colony, performing tasks the slave makers no longer do themselves, having evolved to depend on raiding rather than domestic labor. Other species practice chemical warfare, producing compounds that alarm or confuse enemies, using propaganda pheromones that cause opposing ants to fight each other, or secreting toxic substances that kill or incapacitate opponents. The sophistication of ant warfare demonstrates that organized violence predates humanity, that strategic thinking can emerge from simple neural systems, and that cooperation within groups often serves competition between groups. Consider for a moment what happens when colony members die. Ants maintain hygiene rigorously, particularly regarding dead colony members. When an ant dies, its body releases oleic acid, a chemical signal meaning "dead, remove me." Living ants detect this signal and carry the corpse to designated waste areas or cemeteries, locations outside the main nest, where dead ants, food waste, and other refuse accumulates. If you paint a living ant with oleic acid, its nestmates will carry it to the cemetery, despite its vigorous protests. The chemical signal overrides behavioral evidence of life. This waste management prevents disease. Corpses breed pathogens, and removing them protects the colony. The cemetery behavior demonstrates that ants have culture in a basic sense, shared practices maintained across generations, behavioral traditions not encoded genetically, but transmitted socially through observation and participation. Different colonies of the same species sometimes show variations in cemetery location preferences or waste management practices, suggesting local traditions emerge from colonies' specific histories. The ants aren't conscious of why they remove corpses. They're following instinctive responses to chemical signals. But the outcome is cultural practice, maintaining clean living spaces, separating waste from inhabited areas, protecting colony health through behaviors that could be described as sanitary or even reverential. And alongside this, there's something extraordinary about their physical adaptability. Fire ants create floating rafts when their nests flood. Workers link their bodies together using legs and mandibles, creating waterproof platforms that can float for days or weeks until finding dry land. These rafts demonstrate remarkable physics. The ants' hydrophobic bodies repel water. Trapped air between linked bodies provides buoyancy, and the structure distributes weight efficiently, supporting not just workers, but also the queen and brood positions safely in the raft's center. The rafts are self-healing. If edges are damaged or ants are separated, remaining ants adjust positions to maintain integrity. The ants take turns on the raft's bottom, the most submerged positions, rotating through the structure so no individuals drown from extended water exposure. The raft behavior is entirely self-organized. No ant directs construction, no blueprint exists. Yet functional rafts form within minutes of water contact, demonstrating how complex adaptive structures emerge from simple behavioral rules. The rafts occasionally make landfall on human structures, houses, docks, boats, creating a situation where thousands of angry fire ants suddenly swarm onto a surface, a homeowner's nightmare, but a colony's survival success. The raft demonstrates that ant colonies are liquid in a sense. They can flow, reshape, adapt their physical organization to environmental demands while maintaining colony integrity. This reveals something profound about development. Ant queens and workers are genetically identical. The difference between becoming a large, long-lived, reproductive queen versus a smaller, shorter-lived, sterile worker is determined entirely by developmental conditions, particularly nutrition during larval development. Larvae receiving abundant, high-quality food develop into queens, while those receiving less develop into workers. This environmental determination of caste creates flexibility. Colonies adjust queen-worker ratios based on conditions, producing more reproductives when resources are abundant, more workers when labor is needed. The system also means that workers, though sterile, share the queen's genes, and helping the queen reproduce is genetically equivalent to reproducing themselves. Sisters sharing 75% of genes in haplodiploidy, the unusual genetic system ants use where females develop from fertilized eggs, but males from unfertilized eggs. This high genetic relatedness makes altruism evolutionarily advantageous. A worker helping her sisters, the queen's offspring, actually propagates her own genes more effectively than if she reproduced directly, explaining how sterile workers evolved. The queen-worker distinction demonstrates how radically different phenotypes emerge from identical genomes through developmental plasticity, how environmental cues during critical periods determine lifetime outcomes, which connects to their most sophisticated agriculture. Leafcutter and fungus-growing ants don't eat the leaves they harvest. They feed leaves to fungus gardens, then eat the fungus, creating an obligate agricultural relationship where neither ant nor fungus could survive without the other. The fungus the ants cultivate doesn't exist in the wild. It's domesticated species that evolved alongside the ants over millions of years, propagated exclusively through ant agriculture. When a new queen leaves her natal nest, she carries a small fungus culture in a specialized pouch in her mouth, starting a new garden in her new nest, ensuring the domesticated fungus continues across generations. The ants process leaves before adding them to gardens. They cut appropriate-sized pieces, chew them into pulp, add fecal droplets containing enzymes, then plant this prepared substrate in gardens. They maintain optimal conditions, humidity, temperature, carbon dioxide levels, through nest architecture and active behaviors like fanning with their wings. They weed gardens, removing invasive fungi, and prune the cultivated fungus to optimize growth. The ants are farmers in every meaningful sense. They domesticated crops, maintain fields, harvest produce, and their entire civilization depends on agricultural success, making them closer agricultural analogs to humans than any other non-human species. But what happens when the organizing principle of the colony is lost? A queen's death is catastrophic for the colony. She's the only reproductive, the mother of every worker, the source of colony-maintaining pheromones that suppress worker reproduction and maintain social cohesion. When she dies, workers detect the absence of queen pheromone, and the colony gradually falls into disorder. In some species, workers begin laying unfertilized eggs that develop into males, a last-ditch reproductive effort before colony collapse. In others, workers fight for dominance, attempting to become replacement queens. They develop ovaries, mate if possible, and try to restart reproduction, though worker-produced offspring are often inferior to queen-produced ones. Some species can produce emergency queens. Workers feed selected larvae royal diets, attempting to create new queens from existing brood. though this rarely succeeds in species where queen-worker differences are substantial. Most queenless colonies eventually die. Worker lifespan is weeks or months, and without new ants being born, the colony dwindles and vanishes, its nest becoming empty architecture, testimony to a superorganism that existed and then ceased to be. The queen's centrality demonstrates that ant colonies, despite their distributed intelligence, depend critically on specific individuals, that the superorganism's parts aren't fully interchangeable. And here's something that pushes the boundaries of what seems possible in nature. Trapjaw ants possess the fastest movement in the animal kingdom. Their mandibles snap shut in 0.13 milliseconds, moving at speeds exceeding 140 miles per hour, faster than a bullet ant's sting, faster than a mantis shrimp's punch, accelerating at forces 100,000 times gravity. The mandibles aren't just for biting. Ants use them as escape mechanisms, positioning their mandibles against the ground and snapping them shut, launching their bodies several inches into the air or away from threats, essentially jumping using their jaws as springs. The mandibles are latched open like mouse traps. Muscles slowly build tension, storing energy in specialized structures, held open by a catch mechanism, then released suddenly when triggered by sensory hairs detecting prey or threats. This mechanical amplification allows the ant to move its mandibles far faster than muscles could move them directly, similar to how crossbows shoot faster than bows through energy storage and sudden release. The trap-jaw system demonstrates that evolution can create mechanisms matching or exceeding human engineering, that biological systems can achieve performance. Humans require sophisticated materials and designs to replicate. This connects to something deeper about their environmental range. Ants inhabit nearly every terrestrial environment. Deserts where surface temperatures exceed 150 degrees Fahrenheit, Arctic regions, high mountains, tropical rainforests, urban environments, and even inside active volcanoes' outer slopes. Saharan silver ants forage during midday heat, when most animals shelter, using heat-reflective body hairs and extremely rapid movement to minimize exposure. They sprint across scorching sand, grabbing dead insects that overheated, returning to nests before they themselves overheat. An activity window sometimes just 10 minutes daily. Arctic ants survive winter by producing antifreeze compounds that prevent ice crystal formation in their tissues, remaining frozen but alive for months. Some ants survive flooding by entering dormancy, reducing metabolic rate to minimal levels, surviving submerged for weeks. Ants adapt to cities, nesting in walls, under pavement, in electrical equipment, exploiting human-modified environments that other wildlife can't tolerate. Their environmental flexibility demonstrates that small size, rapid reproduction, and behavioral flexibility provide evolutionary advantages in changing environments. That the ability to survive anywhere matters more than dominating specific niches. Beyond chemical signals, ants communicate through touch, antennation, touching with antennae, gaster flagging, vibrating the abdomen, and physical manipulation. These tactile signals coordinate complex behaviors, recruitment to food sources, calling for help, information exchange. When a forager finds food, she returns to the nest, touching nestmates with her antennae, conveying information about food location, type, and quality through touch patterns and pheromone samples she carries. Nestmates follow her back to the food source, learning the route. Ants also use touch to recognize nestmates versus intruders. They antennate each other, detecting chemical profiles that identify colony membership. The tactile communication is rapid and precise, Information passes through the colony at rates comparable to human conversation, translated into chemical and tactile signals rather than sound. The system allows blind, underground coordination of thousands of individuals without central control, demonstrating that language, shared symbolic communication, allowing complex information transfer, doesn't require sound, vision, or even sophisticated brains, only shared signal systems and information processing capacity. Not all ant colonies are vast. Some species form tiny colonies of fewer than 100 individuals, living in acorns, twigs, or grass stems, yet maintaining the same social organization as large colonies. These miniature societies demonstrate that superorganism principles scale. Division of labor, collective decision-making, cooperative brood care, work regardless of colony size. The smallest colonies show the minimum requirements for social insect complexity. Apparently, a few dozen individuals suffice to gain benefits of cooperation while maintaining social coordination. Studying small colonies reveals how social complexity emerges. At what group size do collective benefits outweigh costs of coordination? How many individuals are needed for effective task allocation? Small colonies also show evolutionary transitions. Some are recently evolved eusocial species, still working out social organization, providing glimpses of how solitary ancestors became social. The diversity in colony size, from dozens to millions, demonstrates that evolution explores multiple solutions to social living, that there's no single correct way to organize ant societies, that scaling laws governing small groups differ from those governing large ones. And as you settle deeper now, imagine the earth honeycombed beneath your feet with tunnels and chambers, millions of ant nests in every acre of land, each containing societies as organized as cities, as complex as civilizations, operating continuously without pause, year after year, decade after decade. While you sleep, ants work through the night. Some species are nocturnal, preferring darkness. Others work around the clock in shifts, the colony never resting even as individual ants sleep briefly. They're farming their gardens, tending their livestock, building and repairing their structures, defending their territories, raising their young, and processing information through chemical networks we barely understand. Tonight, somewhere, a new queen is founding a colony. Alone in a sealed chamber she's dug in soil, laying her first eggs, beginning a process that might create a superorganism lasting half a century. Elsewhere, battles rage along territorial boundaries, thousands of warriors engaging in combat that will leave hundreds dead, contests for resources and space that have continued since before humans evolved. The world of ants continues, hidden, vast, infinitely complex, operating according to rules we're only beginning to comprehend, teaching us that consciousness comes in forms we don't recognize, that intelligence emerges from simplicity through cooperation, that civilization is not uniquely human, but a pattern that appears whenever evolution favors collective action over individual survival. Beneath every step you take, chemical conversations of astonishing complexity are occurring. Pheromone trails intersecting and diverging, alarm signals propagating through underground tunnels, recruitment messages calling workers to tasks, queen signals maintaining social order. These chemical messages aren't simple. They're layered, contextual, time-sensitive. A foraging ant encountering food releases a recruitment pheromone, but the intensity varies with food quality. Better food triggers stronger pheromone release, creating information about value encoded in chemical concentration. Other ants detecting the trail assess its strength, deciding whether to follow based on how compelling the signal is. If the food source depletes, ants stop reinforcing the trail, and within hours the pheromone evaporates, the path forgotten, the information naturally expiring. This creates a dynamic communication network that updates continuously, routes information efficiently, and automatically removes outdated data. A distributed computing system that predates human technology by millions of years, solving information management problems that computer scientists still struggle with. Which brings us to understand something remarkable about navigation. Desert ants track distance traveled by counting steps, a remarkable feat for creatures without abstract mathematical concepts. Researchers discovered this through elegant experiments. They captured ants at feeding sites, modified their leg lengths by attaching tiny stilts or amputating portions of legs, then released them to return home. Ants with elongated legs overshot their nests. Their longer strides meant fewer steps covered the same distance, so their step count indicated insufficient distance traveled. Ants with shortened legs stopped short. Their smaller strides meant more steps were needed, so they calculated they'd traveled farther than they actually had. The precision is remarkable. Ants compensate for terrain variations, maintaining accurate counts despite obstacles, slopes, and detours. This step counting integrates with celestial navigation. Ants track both direction via sun position and polarized light, and distance via step count, combining these to calculate home's location. The system demonstrates that sophisticated navigation doesn't require maps, GPS, or even understanding what counting is. Just reliable mechanisms for tracking relevant variables and integrating that information into behavioral decisions. But there's a darker side to ant life. Certain fungi, Ophiocordyceps species, infect ants, hijacking their nervous systems and controlling their behavior for the fungus's reproductive benefit. An infected ant becomes a zombie, abandoning normal colony activities, wandering away from the nest in seemingly random patterns until the fungus directs it to climb vegetation to a specific height and microclimate optimal for fungal growth. There, the ant clamps its mandibles onto a leaf or twig in a death grip, the final act before the fungus kills it. The ant's body becomes a feeding ground. Fungal mycelia consume the ant from inside, eventually erupting from the corpse in a fruiting body that releases spores onto foraging ants below, continuing the infection cycle. The specificity is eerie. The fungus manipulates ant behavior with precision, directing it to specific heights, specific substrates, even specific orientations. The ant is not dying from infection. It's being operated like a puppet, its behavior controlled to position its corpse exactly where the fungus needs it for reproduction. Some ant species have evolved countermeasures, recognizing infected individuals and carrying them far from the colony before fungal spores can threaten others, creating quarantine behaviors that show disease management strategies existed in ant societies millions of years before human medicine. And this leads to something equally fascinating about their evolutionary history. The oldest known ant fossil dates to approximately 100 million years ago, preserved in amber from Myanmar, a worker ant that appears remarkably similar to modern species, suggesting ant social organization evolved early and changed little since. But genetic evidence indicates ants diverged from wasp ancestors 140 to 168 million years ago, meaning ants as we recognize them existed alongside dinosaurs, already farming fungus when T. rex walked the earth. already forming colonies when flowering plants were just evolving. Ants' evolutionary success is staggering. They survived the asteroid impact that killed dinosaurs, thrived through subsequent climate changes, and now comprise an estimated 20% of terrestrial animal biomass. Their success stems from social organization. Cooperation allows ants to exploit resources inaccessible to solitary insects, defend against predators too large for individuals to fight, and survive conditions that would kill lone organisms. Social living is so advantageous for ants that it evolved only once in their lineage but has been maintained ever since. All 12,000 plus ant species descend from a single ancestral species that made the transition to eusociality, then diversified into the variety we see today. Consider for a moment their architectural ingenuity in creating temporary structures. Army ants form structures from their own bodies, bridges spanning gaps, bivouacs, living nests housing the colony, and ladders allowing workers to traverse obstacles. These structures are self-assembling. Individual ants follow simple rules about when to link bodies, when to release, creating emergent architecture without central planning. An army ant bridge forms when ants encounter a gap in the trail. Workers attempting to cross fall short, their bodies caught by nestmates who create foundational layer. More ants pile on, extending the bridge until it spans the gap, creating a living thoroughfare other ants traverse. The bridge isn't static. If traffic patterns change, the bridge dissolves, ants rejoining the foraging column. The structures demonstrate cost-benefit calculations. Ants don't form unnecessarily long bridges because ant bodies in the structure aren't available for foraging. The optimal bridge balances structural cost against travel time savings, and somehow, through decentralized decision-making, colonies find near-optimal solutions. The ants forming the bridge aren't sacrificing. They rotate in and out, ensuring no individual bears disproportionate burden. The structures are examples of swarm intelligence, where simple individual behaviors produce sophisticated collective engineering that responds dynamically to changing conditions. This reveals something profound about learning. Ant behaviors, nest building, farming, navigation, warfare, are never taught. No adult ants instruct young workers in colony tasks. Instead, behaviors emerge from genetic programming activated by environmental cues and chemical signals. A newly emerged worker begins performing tasks based on age, chemical exposure, and encounter rates with other ants. Young workers tend brood, older workers forage. This age-based polyethism emerges without explicit instruction, simply from changing responses to colony needs as ants age. Complex behaviors like farming or aphid herding also aren't taught. Ants have instinctive responses to stimuli that, when expressed in appropriate contexts, produce seemingly intelligent agricultural behaviors. This means ant cultures, while behaviorally rich, have limited flexibility. A leafcutter ant can't decide to switch from farming to hunting. Its behavioral repertoire is genetically constrained. But within these constraints, variation exists. Colonies show different personalities, some more aggressive, some more cautious, some more exploratory. These colony-level traits emerge from aggregate individual behaviors and create functional diversity, allowing different colonies of the same species to succeed in different environmental contexts through colony-level selection. And here's where it gets even more remarkable. Some ant species, Colobopsis explodens, found in Southeast Asian forests, practice ultimate self-sacrifice. When threatened, they rupture their own bodies, spraying sticky, toxic fluid that immobilizes or kills predators. while also killing the defending ant. The behavior, called autothysis, is defensive. The exploding ant gives its life to protect nest mates. The ants that explode aren't random workers. They're a specialized caste with enlarged glands containing the toxic secretion, essentially living bombs ready to detonate when colony defense requires it. The decision to explode is not casual. Ants assess threat level, deploying autothysis only against serious dangers, where sacrifice provides sufficient benefit to colony survival. This extreme altruism makes evolutionary sense through kin selection. The exploding ant shares genes with nest mates, and saving multiple relatives ensures more copies of its genes survive than if it lived while allowing nest mates to die. The behavior demonstrates that what looks like individual suicide is actually genetic success when viewed from the gene's perspective. That the relevant unit of selection in ant societies is often the colony rather than the individual. But there's more to this story of collective efficiency. Ant trails don't experience traffic jams, despite thousands of individuals traveling in both directions on narrow paths. Researchers studying ant traffic discovered mechanisms that prevent congestion. Ants adjust speed based on density, slowing when crowded, accelerating in clear spaces, maintaining flow. Ants traveling toward valuable resources move faster and more directly than returning ants, creating asymmetric traffic that prioritizes resource exploitation. Trails widen or narrow based on traffic volume. More ants create wider paths through vegetation, accommodating increased flow. During high traffic periods, lanes sometimes emerge. Ants voluntarily segregate into opposing directional flows, reducing head-on encounters. These traffic management strategies emerge without central planning, arising from individual ants following simple rules about how close to follow the ant ahead, when to pass, and how to respond to collisions. The system is robust. Disruptions like obstacles or threats cause temporary slowdowns, but don't cascade into gridlock. Human traffic engineers study ant trails, seeking to understand how decentralized systems maintain flow, hoping to apply these principles to vehicle traffic, pedestrian movement, and data network routing, which connects to their relationships with plants. Many plants form mutualistic relationships with ants, offering food or shelter in exchange for defense against herbivores. Acacia trees produce hollow thorns ants inhabit, along with nectar and protein-rich structures ants harvest as food. In return, ants attack anything threatening the tree: herbivorous insects, competing plants, even large mammals. The ants are aggressive defenders, biting and stinging threats until they retreat. The relationship is obligate. Some acacia species can't survive without their ant partners, and certain ant species live exclusively on specific acacia species. Other plants produce extrafloral nectaries, structures secreting nectar outside flowers, that attract ants which then defend the plant against herbivores. The ants aren't consciously defending plants. They're defending food sources and nests, but the outcome is plant protection. This demonstrates that mutualism doesn't require intentionality or awareness, just aligned evolutionary interests. Over millions of years, plants evolved traits that attracted and sustained ants, while ants evolved behaviors that incidentally protected plants, creating partnerships without contracts, cooperation without communication. And alongside this, there's something extraordinary about temporal experience. An ant's lifespan varies dramatically by species and caste. Workers typically live weeks to months. Queens can live decades. This means an ant's perception of time if it has subjective experience at all, operates on different scales than human time. A foraging trip that takes 30 minutes might represent a significant portion of a worker's remaining lifespan, proportionally equivalent to days in human experience. A queen living 20 years experiences seasonal cycles 24 times, watching countless generations of workers born, mature, and die. Her life spanning time frames that would encompass human childhoods into middle age. Yet ants don't know how long they'll live. They don't experience existential awareness of mortality. Time for ants is purely functional. The duration food remains viable, how long pheromone trails persist, seasonal rhythms governing colony reproduction. There's no past or future in ant consciousness, only present conditions and instinctive responses. Their experience of time, if they experience anything, is likely more like duration of states than narrative progression. Time as interval, not story. This leads to something equally fascinating about resistance. Slave-maker ants, species that raid other ant colonies and steal pupae, raising them as workers, sometimes face rebellion from their enslaved workforce. The enslaved ants, despite being raised by the slave makers, retain species-specific behaviors and sometimes sabotage their captors. They neglect slave-maker brood, allowing eggs and larvae to die. They feed slave-maker larvae less, resulting in smaller, weaker adults. In some cases, enslaved ants kill slave-maker offspring directly. This resistance suggests that despite being raised in slave-maker colonies, genetic programming maintains some colony-specific identity or behavioral predispositions that conflict with serving unrelated species. The slave makers can't simply kill all resistant slaves. They depend on slave labor for colony maintenance, having evolved to specialize in raiding rather than domestic work. The relationship creates evolutionary arms race. Slave makers evolve better manipulation tactics. Enslaved species evolve resistance mechanisms, each responding to selection pressures the other creates. Some enslaved species have evolved chemical camouflage, making their pupae harder to distinguish from those of related species, reducing raid success. Others produce fewer workers and more reproductive during periods when slave-maker raids are likely, minimizing losses to raiding. Consider for a moment what this reveals about neural capacity. An ant brain contains approximately 250,000 neurons, compared to a human brain's 86 billion, yet performs sophisticated information processing, navigation, recognition, decision-making, learning, and memory. The brain structure is highly specialized. Different regions process specific information types, similar to mammalian brain organization, but at vastly smaller scale. Mushroom bodies, brain regions associated with learning and memory, are proportionally large in ants, particularly foraging species that navigate complex environments. Ants can learn associations, remember landmarks, recognize nest mates, and modify behavior based on experience, forms of learning that indicate plasticity beyond pure instinct. The ant brain demonstrates that intelligence scales. Sophisticated cognitive abilities don't require huge brains, just sufficient complexity and appropriate organization. The efficiency is remarkable. Ant brains consume far less energy than mammalian brains per neuron, suggesting evolutionary pressure-optimized neural efficiency in insects. This raises questions about consciousness. Do ants have subjective experiences? Is there something it's like to be an ant? Science can't yet answer, but the behavioral complexity ants display suggests some form of information processing that, while different from human consciousness, produces goal-directed, adaptive behavior in real time. But there's more to their ecological role. The fungus ants cultivate connects to broader underground fungal networks, mycorrhizal associations linking plant roots throughout ecosystems. While ant-cultivated fungus is domesticated and doesn't exist independently, it shares evolutionary history with free-living fungi and maintains genetic capacity for chemical communication via compounds that interact with plant fungal networks. This means ant colonies, through their gardens, are peripherally connected to forest-wide information networks, the wood-wide web of fungal mycelium linking trees and plants. The connection is indirect and likely not functionally significant for information transfer, but it demonstrates that ant agriculture exists within broader ecological context, that colonies aren't isolated but embedded in multi-kingdom networks of nutrient and information exchange. The fungus benefits from ant cultivation, protected from competitors, provided substrate, maintained in optimal conditions, while ants benefit from concentrated nutrition. But the relationship also constrains both partners. The fungus has evolved dependence on ant cultivation, losing ability to survive independently, while ants have evolved to require fungal nutrition, losing ability to digest plant material directly. The partnership is evolutionary commitment, each species giving up alternatives in exchange for specialization's benefits. And here's something that challenges our assumptions about self-awareness. Mirror self-recognition, the ability to recognize one's reflection as self rather than another individual, is considered a marker of sophisticated cognitive abilities in animals. Tests involve marking animals with visible marks they can't feel, then observing whether they use mirrors to investigate the marks, demonstrating they understand the reflection represents themselves. Some ant species pass this test. When marked, they use reflective surfaces to examine marks they can't otherwise see, suggesting self-recognition. However, interpreting this behavior is complicated. Ants might recognize reflections as themselves, or they might simply be investigating novel visual stimuli on bodies they know are theirs through proprioception. The question of ant self-awareness remains open, but their behavior suggests more sophisticated self-representation than simple stimulus response mechanisms. They distinguish self from others, adjust behavior based on self-state, and interact with environmental reflections in ways suggesting awareness. That reflection corresponds to self. Whether this constitutes consciousness or merely sophisticated information processing without subjective experience is philosophically unresolvable. But behaviorally, ants demonstrate capacities that in mammals would be interpreted as indicating self-awareness. This connects to something deeper about reproduction. Most ant species in temperate climates synchronize reproduction with seasons, producing reproductive individuals, winged males and queens, at specific times, typically spring or summer, ensuring mating flights occur when conditions favor colony founding. The synchronization involves environmental cues, day length, temperature, food availability, that trigger colonies to rear reproductives. Different species mate at different times, reducing competition for nest sites among related species. Some species have a single mating flight annually. Others produce reproductives in multiple cohorts. Tropical species often reproduce continuously or in response to rainfall rather than temperature. The timing is critical. Newly mated queens must establish nests when conditions permit survival of founding colonies. When food is available and weather is appropriate, mistiming can be fatal. Queens emerging too early face harsh conditions, too late miss optimal founding windows. Natural selection finely tunes reproductive timing to maximize success, creating annual rhythms that have persisted for millions of years. The synchronized mating flights create brief moments when the sky fills with flying ants, males and queens from thousands of nests, all released simultaneously, ensuring individuals from different colonies meet and mate, maintaining genetic diversity through outbreeding, which brings us to understand genetic complexity. In some locations, different ant species interbreed, creating hybrid zones where genetic exchange produces intermediate forms. Some hybrids are sterile or unfit, but others successfully establish colonies, occasionally forming hybrid supercolonies, combining traits from parent species. These hybrids sometimes possess advantages neither parent had: disease resistance from one species, environmental tolerance from another, behavioral repertoires incorporating elements of both. The hybrid zones are evolutionary laboratories, places where selection tests new genetic combinations, occasionally producing forms that outcompete parental species in specific conditions. Most hybrids fail. Genetic incompatibilities reduce fitness, but successful hybrids can spread, establishing new genetic lineages. Some ant species we classify as distinct, maybe ancient hybrids, their origins lost in evolutionary history. The hybrids demonstrate that species boundaries in ants are sometimes permeable, that evolution can create novelty through genetic mixing as well as through mutation, and that the 12,000 plus described ant species likely underestimate actual diversity, as many populations differ genetically and behaviorally in ways that might justify species status but remain unstudied. And alongside this, there's something remarkable about recognition. Ants recognize nestmates through chemical signatures, blends of hydrocarbons on their exoskeletons, colony-specific profiles acquired through contact with nest environment and nestmates. A worker encountering another ant antennates it, sensing its chemical profile, and comparing it to the learned template representing nestmate. Matches allow passage, mismatches trigger aggression. The system is sophisticated. Colonies maintain consistent chemical signatures despite constantly changing worker populations, achieved through workers regularly contacting each other, homogenizing their chemical profiles. The recognition isn't perfect. Occasional errors occur. Non-nestmates sometimes gain entry. Nestmates returning from long absences might be treated with suspicion if their chemical signature drifted. Some parasites exploit this system. Ant-mimicking beetles produce chemical profiles resembling their hosts, allowing them to live within colonies, stealing food or preying on brood without detection. Other parasites are chemically invisible. They produce minimal signature chemicals, essentially hiding from chemical detection. The arms race between parasites and hosts drives evolution of increasingly complex recognition systems, with some colonies maintaining multiple overlapping recognition cues to prevent exploitation by species that spoof single channels. This reveals something profound about problem solving. The traveling salesman problem, finding the shortest route, visiting multiple locations exactly once, is computationally difficult, with solution complexity increasing exponentially with number of locations. Yet ants solve analogous problems routinely, visiting multiple food sources efficiently, finding near-optimal routes through landscape. They accomplish this through stigmergy, indirect coordination via environmental modification. Ants exploring randomly initially, but successful foragers deposit pheromone trails. Other ants follow trails probabilistically. Stronger trails attract more ants and reinforce them if they lead to food. shorter paths accumulate pheromone faster. Ants complete round trips more quickly, creating positive feedback that amplifies shorter routes, while longer routes pheromones evaporate. The system converges on near-optimal solutions without central planning or individual ants understanding the problem. Computer scientists developed ant colony optimization algorithms mimicking this process, applying it to network routing, scheduling, and logistics problems. Artificial ants exploring solution spaces, depositing virtual pheromone on successful routes, can solve complex optimization problems more efficiently than traditional algorithms. The ANTS solution method demonstrates that intelligent problem-solving doesn't require understanding problems abstractly. It requires mechanisms that amplify successful strategies and allow unsuccessful ones to fade, creating systems that learn through trial and error at population level. But there's more to their ingenuity. Weaver ants construct nests from living leaves, pulling leaves together and binding them with silk. But adult ants can't produce silk. Instead, they use larvae as silk guns, holding larvae in their mandibles and stimulating them to produce silk, which the adults apply to leaf edges, stitching them together. Multiple workers coordinate. Some pull leaves together, others manipulate larvae, applying silk to create seams. The behavior requires cooperation. Individual ants can't accomplish the construction. Only groups working together can build nests. The larvae used for silk production are in specific developmental stages. Too young and they don't produce enough silk. Too old and they're about to pupate. The ants somehow identify appropriate larvae and use them non-destructively. Larvae continue development after being used as tools. This tool use is remarkable. The ants are using other living organisms as instruments, coordinating multiple individuals in construction projects that require precise timing and positioning. The completed nests are durable, lasting months, housing colonies of thousands. The Weaver ant system demonstrates that tool use in animals can include living tools, that sophisticated construction doesn't require hands or technology, and that insects can exhibit problem-solving behaviors that in primates would be considered evidence of advanced cognition. And as you drift further into this deepening night, consider that beneath the ground, within trees, under every stone and log, ant societies continue their ancient patterns, farming and herding, building and defending, communicating through chemicals and touches, solving problems that would challenge supercomputers, all performed by creatures whose brains are smaller than this period. They've been doing this since before flowering plants existed, since before mammals diversified, continuing through ice ages and warm periods, through continental drift and mass extinctions, persisting because cooperation works, because division of labor creates efficiency, because superorganisms can accomplish what individuals cannot. Tonight, millions of ant colonies sleep and wake in shifts, the superorganism never resting entirely, always maintaining watch, always prepared, always adapting. They don't know they're remarkable. They don't know they're successful beyond measure. They simply do what their natures dictate, what evolution optimized over millions of years, what their genes and environment together produce. And in doing so, they demonstrate that consciousness and civilization take forms we barely recognize, that intelligence emerges from unexpected sources, that the small can be as profound as the vast. Ant larvae aren't passive recipients of care. They actively communicate needs to workers, soliciting food through chemical signals and physical behaviors. Hungry larvae produce pheromones that attract workers and stimulate feeding. Larvae also produce silk, sounds, or movements that elicit specific care behaviors. The interaction is bidirectional. Larvae signal needs, workers respond, and larvae provide feedback about satisfaction, creating communication loop. This means worker behavior is partially taught by larvae. Workers learn which signals indicate which needs, adjusting care accordingly. Different larval stages require different care. Early instars need liquid food. Later instars need solid food. Prepupae need to be moved to appropriate pupation locations. Workers somehow track developmental stages and adjust care, possibly through chemical signals larvae emit that indicate developmental status. The larvae are also sorted by workers, placed in different nursery chambers based on developmental stage, caste destination, or health status. Sick larvae are sometimes culled. Workers detect infection and remove larvae, preventing disease spread. The nursery management demonstrates sophisticated social behavior, discrimination, decision-making, and learned responses occurring in context of larval care, ensuring colony invests resources appropriately across developmental stages, which brings us to understand how ants have shaped plant evolution itself. Ants' agricultural practices have influenced plant evolution. Plants producing structures, ants' harvest, have been selected for traits that attract ant attention while discouraging other herbivores. Extrafloral nectaries, nectar-producing structures outside flowers, evolved specifically to attract ants, providing ants with food in exchange for defense against herbivores. The nectar composition is adapted to ant preferences, amino acid profiles, sugar concentrations, different from floral nectar meant for pollinators. Some plants produce food bodies, specialized structures containing proteins and lipids that ants harvest, serving no function except attracting ant defenders. The relationship creates co-evolution, plants evolving traits that make them better ant attractors, ants evolving preferences for plants providing better rewards. Some plant species now depend entirely on ant protection. Without ants, they're consumed by herbivores and fail to reproduce. The relationship has driven diversification. Related plant species differ partly in ant-attracting traits, each specializing on attracting different ant species or providing different rewards. Looking at plant structures through ant-focused lens reveals that much plant morphology is shaped not by wind, water, or pollinators, but by ants, whose ubiquity and herbivore control services make them powerful, selective forces on plant evolution. And this leads to something equally fascinating about mobility. Nomadic ant species, including most army ants, don't construct permanent nests, but instead form bivouacs, temporary structures made from worker bodies linking together. The bivouac forms at night. Hundreds of thousands of workers cling to each other, creating living nest that shelters queen, brood, and food stores. Inside, chambers and galleries exist, not built but formed from spaces between linked workers. The structure provides protection. Inner workers are shielded by outer layers. Temperature regulation occurs through workers adjusting positions, and the colony can respond to threats collectively. During day, the bivouac dissolves, workers resuming nomadic foraging. The colony moves frequently, every few weeks, sometimes nightly, following food availability. The nomadic lifestyle reflects specialization. These species hunt in swarms, exhausting prey in areas rapidly, necessitating movement to new hunting grounds. Permanent nests would anchor them to locations, preventing exploitation of temporary prey concentrations. The bivouac lifestyle means workers are simultaneously nest, transportation, and storage, their bodies multifunctional, adapting to different roles as colony needs shift. The distinction between individual and colony blurs. Workers are building material. The colony is workers. The nest is temporary aggregation rather than permanent structure. Consider for a moment how ants perceive seasons. Ants track seasons primarily through temperature. Sustained warm periods trigger worker production and foraging activity. Cold periods trigger dormancy or reduced activity. But temperature also provides developmental information. Larvae developing during warm periods receive more food and may develop into larger casts or reproductives, while larvae developing during cool periods typically become smaller workers. This means seasonal timing affects colony composition. Colonies timed to produce reproductives during spring can allocate resources toward reproduction, while colonies developing during lean times produce only workers. Some species measure cumulative temperature, degree days, essentially tracking total heat exposure over time, allowing accurate developmental timing regardless of daily temperature fluctuations. This sophisticated environmental monitoring operates without centralized measurement. No individual ant tracks season, but developmental rates and behavioral thresholds respond to temperature, creating colony-level seasonal adaptation through distributed sensing. The system allows ants to anticipate conditions, preparing for winter by storing food, reducing brood production, or entering dormancy, demonstrating that prediction doesn't require consciousness, just responsive mechanisms that track reliable environmental cues. But there's more to this story of endings. When ants sense they're dying, through illness, injury, or age, some species exhibit thanatosis-like behavior, removing themselves from the colony voluntarily. The dying ant walks away from nest, finding isolated location where death won't contaminate colony. This self-removal reduces pathogen transmission. Infected ants don't die among healthy nestmates, minimizing disease spread. The behavior suggests ants detect internal state indicating impending death, triggering removal behavior before death occurs. Not all species show this. Some die within nests and are removed by workers. But its presence in multiple lineages suggests self-removal behavior evolved independently multiple times, indicating its adaptive value. The mechanism likely involves internal chemical changes associated with dying, accumulation of metabolic waste products, immune responses to infection, that trigger behavioral programs directing ants away from colony. The behavior demonstrates that even insects exhibit responses suggesting awareness of internal state, that they can distinguish healthy from unhealthy conditions and modulate behavior accordingly. Whether this constitutes subjective experience of illness or purely mechanistic response to chemical changes remains unknowable. But behaviorally, dying ants act as if they know they're dying and take action to protect their colony from their death. And alongside this, there's something extraordinary about memory across transformation. Ants undergo complete metamorphosis, egg to larva, to pupa, to adult. A transformation so radical that the larval body essentially dissolves and reforms into adult structure. During pupation, most tissues break down into cellular soup, then reorganize into adult form. Yet memories formed during larval stages sometimes persist into adulthood. Experiments show that ants exposed to specific odors as larvae later recognize those odors as adults, demonstrating that some neural connections survive metamorphosis's cellular chaos. The mechanism remains mysterious. How does information encoded in larval nervous tissue transfer through pupal reorganization into adult neural structure? some neurons apparently survive pupation intact, maintaining connections that preserve learned associations. This means an ant's experience as helpless larvae, fed and cared for by workers, isn't entirely forgotten. Some trace remains, encoded in neural architecture that persists through transformation. The continuity of memory through metamorphosis suggests that identity, in whatever limited form ants possess it, spans developmental stages that appear to completely remake the organism. What was learned in one life phase informs the next, creating developmental continuity despite morphological discontinuity. This reveals something profound about climate control. Leafcutter ant nests maintain remarkably stable temperatures despite housing millions of individuals, generating metabolic heat, and fungus gardens producing additional warmth through decomposition. The ants accomplish this through architectural ventilation. Nest design creates convection currents that draw cool air in through some tunnels while expelling warm air through others. The system is passive, requiring no active pumping, working through thermal properties. Warm air rises, creating low pressure that draws cooler air in below. But ants also actively regulate temperature. They adjust tunnel openings, blocking or enlarging entrances to control airflow, essentially operating dampers in their ventilation system. During extreme heat, some species bring water into nests, spreading it on surfaces where evaporation cools the environment, creating primitive air conditioning. Other species relocate brood and fungus gardens to different chambers as temperatures fluctuate, moving them to optimal zones. The temperature regulation is collective. No individual ant monitors overall nest temperature, but distributed sensing and response by thousands of individuals produces effective thermoregulation. The system maintains fungus gardens within narrow temperature ranges, despite external temperatures varying by 30 degrees Fahrenheit or more, demonstrating sophisticated environmental control through simple rules and architectural design, which connects to agricultural diversity. While most fungus farming ants cultivate single fungal species, some maintain more complex agricultural systems, growing multiple fungal strains in different garden chambers, essentially practicing crop rotation or polyculture. Different fungal strains have different optimal substrates and growth conditions, and cultivating multiple strains provides insurance against crop failure. If one strain becomes diseased or environmental conditions favor one strain over another, the colony maintains food production. The ants manage these multiple gardens differently, adjusting leaf processing techniques based on which garden receives the material, suggesting they distinguish fungal strains and understand their different requirements. This agricultural sophistication rivals human farming, maintaining multiple crops, adjusting cultivation techniques to different species, managing complex systems that require coordinated labor across specialized tasks. The evolutionary development of multi-crop farming in ants demonstrates convergent evolution. Humans and ants independently discovered that agricultural diversity reduces risk, that monoculture creates vulnerability, and that maintaining multiple food sources stabilizes nutrition. The ants made these discoveries 40 million years before humans existed, refining their techniques through natural selection rather than conscious experimentation. And here's where it gets even more interesting. Sequencing ant genomes revealed surprising findings. Despite behavioral complexity, ant genomes aren't larger than solitary insect genomes, suggesting social complexity doesn't require proportionally more genes. Instead, social evolution involved regulatory changes, modifications to when and where existing genes are expressed rather than evolution of entirely new genes. The genetic basis of caste determination is environmental rather than genetic. Queens and workers have identical genomes, differing only in gene expression patterns triggered by developmental nutrition. Ants possess expanded gene families involved in chemical communication and recognition, reflecting the importance of pheromones to social organization. Some genes show signs of rapid evolution, particularly those involved in reproduction, queen worker conflict, and parasite resistance, indicating these are arenas of intense selection. Comparing genomes across ant species reveals that social living evolved once in ants, but has been modified extensively in different lineages, with different species evolving. Specialized worker castes, varying queen worker dimorphism, and different communication systems through genetic changes to shared ancestral toolkit. The genomes show that evolution works with available material, modifying and repurposing existing genes rather than creating complexity from nothing. That behavioral sophistication can emerge from regulatory complexity rather than genomic expansion, but there's more to their communication. While pheromones dominate ant communication, some species also use sound, stridulation, producing vibrations by rubbing body parts together. Leafcutter ants trapped under soil collapse stridulate, creating vibrations that alert nestmates to their location, prompting rescue. The sounds aren't airborne. Ants have no ears for hearing air-transmitted sound, but rather substrate-borne vibrations transmitted through soil or plant material that ants detect through mechanoreceptors in their legs and antennae. The vibrations carry information. Frequency, amplitude, and pattern convey different messages. Some ants produce alarm stridulations when attacked, warning nestmates. Others stridulate during recruitment, supplementing pheromone trails with acoustic signals. Queens in some species stridulate, producing sounds that might help maintain colony cohesion or suppress worker reproduction through acoustic signaling. The acoustic world of ants is invisible to us. Their sounds often occur at frequencies or amplitudes we can't perceive without equipment, and their communication happens through substrates rather than air. Recording ant stridulations and converting them to human audible frequencies reveals a hidden acoustic landscape. Ants literally singing to each other in voices we can't naturally hear, adding another dimension to their already complex communication systems. This connects to something deeper about darkness navigation. Many ant species live and forage entirely underground or at night, navigating in total darkness without vision. They accomplish this through multiple sensory modalities. Chemical trails provide pathways. Tactile information from antennae and legs informs about substrate texture and obstacles, and proprioception tracks body position and movement. Some species can navigate even without chemical trails. They use idiothetic navigation, tracking their movements through internal monitoring of steps, turns, and distances traveled, maintaining awareness of their position relative to nest through dead reckoning. This works in complete darkness. The ants need no external references, relying entirely on internal state estimation. The accuracy is remarkable. Ants can navigate complex three-dimensional environments through branching tunnel systems, returning to specific chambers without visual information or chemical trails. Some research suggests ants may also use Earth's magnetic field for orientation, detecting field direction through magnetoreceptors, providing compass-like directional information. The magnetic sense, if it exists, would be particularly useful in underground environments where celestial cues are unavailable and chemical trails can be confused by air currents or disrupted by flooding. Darkness is no obstacle to creatures whose primary senses operate in chemical and tactile domains, for whom light was never the primary information source. And alongside this, there's something remarkable about longevity. Ant queens live extraordinarily long for insects. Some species queens survive 30 years or more, while workers of the same species live only months. This lifespan disparity, despite genetic identity, results from physiological differences induced during development. Queens develop more robust cellular repair mechanisms, stronger immune systems, and different metabolic profiles that resist aging. Workers, developing under different nutritional regimes, activate genetic programs that prioritize current function over longevity, essentially trading lifespan for immediate productivity. The evolutionary logic is clear. Workers need only live long enough to contribute labor, while queens must survive decades to maintain colony reproduction. This is encoded genetically, but activated environmentally. The same genome produces radically different aging trajectories based on developmental conditions. Research on ant longevity reveals mechanisms of aging that might apply more broadly. Queens upregulate antioxidant production, maintain telomere length better, and resist cellular damage more effectively than workers. Understanding how genetically identical individuals achieve such different lifespans might inform human aging research, suggesting that longevity isn't purely genetic destiny, but can be influenced by environmental factors during critical developmental periods. Consider for a moment their cooperative hunting. Army ants hunt in swarms, thousands or millions of individuals spreading through forest, overwhelming prey through sheer numbers. But their hunting is coordinated, not chaotic. The swarm has structure, with scouts at the front detecting prey, soldiers protecting flanks, workers retrieving captured prey, to bivouac. The swarm adjusts formation based on terrain and prey distribution, concentrating forces where prey is dense, spreading thin where prey is scarce. Individual ants follow simple rules, maintain certain density of neighbors, follow pheromone gradients indicating promising directions, carry prey back toward bivouac. But collective behavior is sophisticated predation, flushing prey from hiding places, cutting off escape routes, overwhelming defenses that would repel individual ants. The swarm functions as single predatory organism, its hunting efficiency greater than some of individual efforts. Some prey species have evolved specific defenses against army ant raids. Certain spider species detect raid approach through vibrations, abandoning webs and fleeing. Some insects produce chemical mimicry, smelling like army ants and avoiding attack. Others simply don't exist in regions where army ants hunt, unable to evolve defenses against such overwhelming predation. The arms race between army ants and prey has shaped ecosystem structure in tropical forests, where they hunt, their presence influencing which species can persist in their hunting territories. But there's more to reproduction. For most ant species, reproduction occurs during mating flights, brief periods when winged reproductive males and queens emerge from nests and fly to mate. The flights are synchronized. Colonies release reproductives simultaneously, triggered by environmental cues like temperature, humidity, or recent rainfall. The synchronization ensures individuals from different colonies meet, preventing inbreeding. Males and queens fly to conspicuous landmarks, tall trees, hills, distinctive features, where they aggregate in mating swarms. Males compete for queens, sometimes fighting in midair. Successful males briefly coupling with queens during flight. For males, mating is terminal. They die shortly after, having fulfilled their only function. Queens mate once or with few males, storing sperm in specialized organs, spermathecae, that maintain viable sperm for decades, enough to fertilize millions of eggs throughout their lifespan. After mating, queens land, shed their wings, pulling them off or breaking them at weakened joints, signaling transition from reproductive to foundress. The queen seeks nest site, digs founding chamber, seals herself inside, and begins laying eggs. She won't eat until her first workers emerge, surviving on body fat and metabolized wing muscles, existing in sealed chamber for weeks or months, gambling her life on successful reproduction, hoping enough workers emerge to feed her before she starves. This reveals something profound about continental cooperation. The Argentine ant supercolony in southern Europe stretches over 3,700 miles, from Atlantic coast of Spain through France and Italy to Mediterranean shores. The largest known cooperative structure built by any animal except humans. This isn't a single nest, but millions of interconnected nests containing billions of individuals, all cooperating because they share genetic similarity and chemical recognition cues. Workers from nests hundreds of miles apart don't fight when they meet. They recognize each other as nestmates, cooperate in food gathering and defense, accept queens from distant nests. The supercolony functions as single genetic unit distributed across landscape, competing with other Argentine ant supercolonies in areas where their ranges meet. The battles between supercolonies create stable borders, persisting for years. The Catalonian border, for instance, runs through specific streets in Barcelona, with ants on one side, genetically distinct from those on the other side, and daily warfare occurring along boundary zones. The supercolony's size creates evolutionary questions. How does cooperation persist across such distances? Why doesn't cheating evolve? Workers that exploit cooperative infrastructure without contributing. The answers involve high genetic relatedness, efficient policing of non-cooperators, and benefits of cooperation that outweigh potential gains from defection. The supercolony demonstrates that cooperation can scale to continental levels when conditions favor it, which brings us to understand neural speed. Ants make decisions remarkably quickly. Encountering predator, worker ants assess threat and respond within milliseconds, faster than neural transmission should allow if information traveled from sensors to central processing to motor control. The speed suggests distributed processing. Sensors connect directly to motor systems through local circuits, bypassing central coordination for rapid responses. This creates reflexive behaviors that don't require thinking. Ant detects alarm pheromone, immediately activates threat response, then continues with original task if threat doesn't materialize. The distributed processing trades flexibility for speed. Responses are stereotyped, appropriate for common threats but potentially maladaptive for novel situations. But in ant evolution, speed usually matters more than optimal response to rare scenarios. Reacting instantly to common threats provides survival advantage, despite occasional inappropriate responses to unusual situations. The neural architecture reflects evolutionary priorities, and brains optimize for rapid processing of critical information, while slower, more flexible processing handles less urgent decisions. Understanding how ants achieve fast processing with limited neural hardware informs neuromorphic computing, designing artificial systems that process information using brain-like architectures rather than traditional computer designs. And alongside this, there's something extraordinary about chemical warfare. Some ant species produce potent chemical weapons, formic acid sprays that can kill or repel opponents, alkaloidal venoms inducing pain and tissue damage, or more exotic compounds creating confusion or paralysis. Fire ants inject alkaloid venom through stingers, creating burning sensation that gives them their name. Other species spray formic acid meters away, bombarding enemies from distance. Some produce propaganda pheromones, chemicals that mimic enemy alarm signals, causing opponents to panic and fight each other rather than organized defense. These chemical arsenals create ecological dominance. Chemically armed species occupy territories larger than unarmed species of similar size, their weapons providing competitive advantage in resource competition and territorial disputes. But chemical warfare creates arms races. Prey species evolve resistance. Competing ants evolve neutralizing mechanisms or their own chemical weapons. Some ants can tolerate formic acid that would kill related species, having evolved biochemical resistance through selection pressure from acid-spraying competitors. The diversity of chemical defenses across ant species reflects millions of years of chemical innovation, each lineage evolving compounds that provide advantage in its specific competitive environment, creating chemical diversity rivaling that of plants. This connects to something deeper about internal partnerships. Like humans, ants host microbiomes, communities of bacteria living in their digestive systems, assisting with nutrition. Leafcutter ants' guts contain bacteria that help digest plant material. Though ants primarily eat fungus they cultivate, they also consume some leaf sap, which gut bacteria help process. Some carpenter ant species maintain bacteria that produce essential amino acids, supplementing nitrogen-poor diets based on sugary honeydew. The microbiomes are species-specific and sometimes caste-specific. Queens and workers of the same species can have different gut bacteria, reflecting different diets and metabolic needs. Some gut bacteria appear to protect ants from pathogens, producing antimicrobial compounds that prevent infection or competing with potential pathogens for resources. The microbiomes are transmitted socially through trophallaxis, mouth-to-mouth feeding, through contact with feces, or through contact with nest environment, creating cultural transmission of beneficial bacteria across generations. Disrupting ant microbiomes through antibiotics reduces fitness, demonstrating that ants depend on their bacterial partners. The relationship is ancient. Genetic evidence suggests ant-bacteria associations evolved millions of years ago and have been maintained through coevolution, bacteria evolving to specialize on ant gut environments while ants evolved to depend on bacterial contributions. And as you drift deeper into rest, imagine the complexity we've explored. Societies beneath societies, intelligences within intelligences, cooperation creating capabilities that transcend individual limitations. The ants continue their work, oblivious to our observation, following patterns refined across evolutionary time so vast it makes human history seem like a brief flicker. They don't know they're teaching us about cooperation, about emergence, about how consciousness and civilization can arise from the simplest components, following simple rules. They simply are doing what they do, being what they've become. Through millions of years of selection, pressure favoring collective action over individual survival. Tonight, as you release into sleep, the ants work on, farming their gardens, tending their herds, building their cities, waging their wars, solving their problems through distributed intelligence that requires no central authority, no individual understanding, only local interactions producing global patterns. They demonstrate that there are many ways to be intelligent, many ways to build civilizations, many ways to organize matter into systems that process information and adapt to changing worlds. Rest now, knowing that beneath the soil, within the trees, across every surface, ant societies continue patterns older than humanity, demonstrating possibilities we're only beginning to understand. The genetic conflict hidden within ant cooperation is profound. Despite the appearance of perfect harmony, colonies contain tensions between workers and queens who don't share identical evolutionary interests. Workers are more related to their sisters than to the queen's sons. So workers prefer colonies produce more queens than males, while the queen prefers equal investment in sons and daughters. This creates worker-queen conflict over colony sex ratio. Workers sometimes kill male eggs or larvae, attempting to bias sex ratio toward sisters. Some workers also try to lay their own eggs, which develop into males, since workers can't mate and produce only unfertilized eggs. Other workers police this behavior, eating worker-laid eggs to maintain the queen's reproductive monopoly. The policing occurs because most workers are more related to the queen's sons than to other workers' sons, making queen reproduction beneficial to them. This creates within-colony surveillance. Workers monitoring each other, suppressing reproduction, maintaining cooperation through mutual policing. The system isn't peaceful harmony, but enforced cooperation, where potential cheaters are detected and punished, maintaining colony-level efficiency through mechanisms that suppress individual reproductive interests. The genetic conflicts reveal that superorganisms, like human societies, maintain cooperation partly through enforcement, through punishment of defection, through systems that align individual incentives with collective outcomes, which brings us to understand how colonies respond to existential threats. When threats affect entire colonies, predators attacking nest, flooding, fire, ants coordinate responses that prioritize colony survival over individual safety. Workers form living barriers, blocking nest entrances with their bodies to prevent predator entry. They evacuate brood and queens first, workers carrying larvae and pupae to safety before saving themselves. During fires, some ants survive by retreating to deep chambers where temperatures remain tolerable, then emerge to rebuild after fire passes. The response is coordinated but not directed. No ant commands evacuation. No leader organizes defense. Instead, threat detection by any ant triggers release of alarm pheromones, propagating through colony and activating threat-specific behaviors. Workers encountering brood during threat automatically grab larvae and move towards safety. Those encountering intruders attack. The response emerges from simple individual rules, producing appropriate collective behavior. Evacuation when needed, defense when appropriate, with prioritization naturally arising from behavioral programs that value brood over workers, queens over both. Colony-level threats reveal colony-level responses, demonstrating that superorganisms exhibit homeostasis, self-regulating systems that maintain stability and respond to perturbations in ways that preserve the collective, even at individual cost. And this leads to something equally fascinating about mathematical elegance. Ant trail networks approximate solutions to complex mathematical optimization problems, finding shortest paths connecting multiple food sources to nest, while minimizing total path length. These are variants of Steiner tree problems, notoriously difficult computationally, yet ants solve them routinely through simple rules. Initially, multiple trails form from nest to food sources, some direct, others meandering. Ants traveling shorter paths complete round trips faster, reinforcing their trails more frequently with pheromone. Longer paths receive less reinforcement because fewer ants traverse them per time unit. Pheromone evaporation removes unsuccessful trails while successful ones amplify, eventually producing near-optimal networks. The precision is remarkable. Ant networks often match computer-generated optimal solutions, sometimes finding solutions faster than algorithms. The mathematical elegance isn't intentional. Ants don't know they're optimizing, but emerges from pheromone dynamics, positive feedback, and trail evaporation, creating a system that naturally converges on efficiency. Mathematicians study ant trails, seeking principles applicable to network design, routing protocols, and optimization algorithms. The ants demonstrate that sophisticated mathematical solutions can emerge from non-mathematical processes, that optimization doesn't require calculation, just appropriate feedback mechanisms and time. But there's more to this story of memory and forgetting. Ant memory is selective. They remember information relevant to survival, but don't retain arbitrary associations. An ant remembers food locations, nest locations, and nest mate recognition cues. Information used repeatedly, but they don't remember every path traveled or every object encountered. Unnecessary information isn't retained, conserving neural resources. Memory duration varies by information type. Nest location is remembered permanently. Specific food locations are remembered temporarily and fade if not reinforced. The forgetting is functional. Outdated information is cleared, preventing confusion between current and obsolete conditions. Some memories are colony level rather than individual. Information distributed across workers, no single ant possessing complete knowledge. A foraging route might be known collectively. Each worker remembers one segment, together covering the entire path. This distributed memory makes colonies robust to individual mortality. Losing workers doesn't erase critical knowledge because information is redundant, stored in multiple individuals. The memory systems demonstrate that intelligence doesn't require remembering everything, that selective retention and strategic forgetting can be more adaptive than comprehensive recording, that what's forgotten matters as much as what's remembered. Consider for a moment the extreme parasitism that has evolved. Some parasitic ant species have lost the ability to maintain colonies independently. They must parasitize other species to survive. Parasitic queens invade host colonies, killing or suppressing the resident queen, then laying eggs that host workers raise. The parasitic species produces only reproductives, no workers, depending entirely on enslaved workers from the host species. This extreme parasitism evolved from ancestral slave-making behaviors, gradually becoming obligate as parasitic species lost worker castes entirely. The parasitic queens are often morphologically specialized, bearing weapons like large mandibles for killing host queens, or producing chemical mimicry that allows undetected entry. Some parasitic species have evolved smaller body sizes, making them less threatening to host workers during initial colony invasion. The parasitism creates evolutionary arms race. Hosts evolve better queen defense and parasite detection. Parasites evolve better invasion tactics and chemical camouflage. Some host species now recognize parasitic queens and mob them immediately, killing invaders before they can establish. But parasites counter with even better disguises. or more aggressive invasion strategies. The arms race drives rapid evolution in both lineages, each generation selecting for improved attack and defense, creating species that exist only in relation to each other, parasites that cannot live without hosts, hosts that face constant pressure from parasites. And alongside this, there's something extraordinary about democratic decision-making. When choosing new nest sites, necessary when colonies outgrow current nests or must relocate due to disturbance, ants employ remarkably democratic process. Scout ants search for potential sites, assess quality, then return to colony. Scouts that found high-quality sites recruit more intensely, performing more recruitment displays, leading more followers to the site. Multiple sites compete as scouts recruit to different locations. The site attracting most scouts eventually reaches quorum. A threshold number of ants at the location triggers decision. Once quorum is reached, scouts begin carrying brood and eventually the queen to the new site, implementing the collective decision. The process is sophisticated. Ants assess site quality based on multiple factors like cavity size, entrance characteristics, distance from old nest, weight these factors appropriately, and integrate information across individuals to make colony-level decisions without voting or centralized authority. The system usually selects the best available site, demonstrating that democratic decision-making can emerge from decentralized information sharing and quorum-based consensus without requiring individual comprehension of the decision being made. The colonies demonstrate that democracy isn't uniquely human, but a pattern appearing wherever distributed groups must make unified decisions. This reveals something profound about mortality itself. Ant colonies' lifespans vary enormously. Some species colonies last only a single season, others persist for decades. Colony lifespan is primarily determined by queen longevity. Once the queen dies and cannot be replaced, the colony enters terminal decline. But environmental factors also matter. Harsh conditions increase mortality. Resource abundance supports longevity. Predation pressure determines survival probability. Some species can produce replacement queens. Workers rear new queens from existing larvae when the original queen dies, extending colony lifespan beyond single queen's life. In species with multiple queens, polygyny, colony lifespan isn't tied to any individual, and colonies can theoretically persist indefinitely as queens are continuously replaced. The oldest documented colonies are estimated at 80+ years. Leafcutter colonies in tropical forests, their massive underground structures accumulating over decades, housing successive generations of queens through colony fission or queen adoption. These ancient colonies are remarkable organisms distributed across cubic meters of soil, containing billions of individuals over their lifetime, processing tons of vegetation, shaping surrounding ecosystem through their activities. Colony death is colony-level death, the superorganism ceasing to exist, its infrastructure abandoned, its accumulated knowledge lost, its genetic lineage ending unless daughter colonies were successfully founded, which connects to how ants encounter toxins. Ants encountering toxic substances, pesticides, naturally occurring toxins, or poisoned bait sometimes exhibit surprisingly sophisticated responses. Workers discovering lethal toxins often die quickly, but sublethal exposure triggers avoidance learning. Survivors remember toxic food sources and avoid them, even warning nestmates through alarm pheromones or chemical markers applied to toxic substances. Some ant species can detoxify certain poisons through enzymatic breakdown, allowing survival where vulnerable species die. But poison resistance creates problems for pest control. Populations exposed to pesticides evolve resistance, requiring increased doses or different chemicals. Argentine ants, for instance, have developed resistance to multiple pesticide classes, making control increasingly difficult. The evolutionary pressure is intense. Ant reproduction is rapid, and massive mortality from pesticides creates strong selection for resistant individuals. Within a few generations, local ant populations can shift from susceptible to resistant. This demonstrates evolution in real time, adaptation occurring at observable timescales, natural selection's power to modify populations facing novel threats. The arms race between human pest control and ant evolution shows no clear winner. Each advance in pesticide technology is eventually overcome by ant adaptation. But there's more to their behavior than determinism. Despite appearing deterministic, ant behavior incorporates randomness. Foraging ants explore randomly rather than following predetermined patterns. Nest-founding queens settle at randomly encountered suitable locations. Mating flights begin at times varying around environmental triggers. This randomness isn't failure of control, but adaptive strategy. Random exploration ensures ants discover food sources they wouldn't find through systematic search. Random settlement distributes colonies across landscape rather than clustering them competitively, and temporal variation in flights reduces predictability to predators. The randomness is constrained. Not all behaviors are random, and random components occur within parameters. Foragers explore randomly, but within distances from nest, appropriate to their species' foraging range. The randomness creates flexibility. Colonies can adapt to unpredictable environments, respond to novel conditions, and avoid exploitation by predators or competitors that would succeed against predictable behavior. Incorporating randomness into decision-making, using probability rather than determinism, is sophisticated strategy, allowing robust performance across variable conditions, demonstrating that optimal behavior often includes calculated unpredictability rather than rigid rule following. And here's where scale reveals universal principles. Ant colonies range from dozens of individuals in small species to 20+ million in army ant colonies, yet all maintain social organization and division of labor. Small colonies achieve this through flexibility. Each worker performs multiple tasks, adjusting behavior based on immediate needs. Large colonies can afford specialization, workers dedicated to single tasks, optimizing performance through experience and physical adaptations. The scaling creates different challenges. Small colonies must coordinate few individuals performing multiple roles. Large colonies must coordinate millions performing specialized roles. The solution in both cases is the same: simple rules, local information, self-organization, but implementation details differ. Small colonies use high encounter rates. Workers frequently contact each other, directly assessing colony needs. Large colonies use sampling. Workers encounter random subset of colony, extrapolating overall state from local observations. Both systems work, demonstrating that principles of self-organization scale across size ranges, that there's no single correct colony size, but rather a range of viable organizations, each with advantages and constraints. The scaling reveals that social organization is a robust phenomenon, implementable at multiple scales through similar principles adapted to different contexts. This connects to something deeper about herbivory. Most ants are predators or scavengers, But some species are effectively herbivores, consuming plant material directly rather than feeding it to cultivated fungus. These ants host specialized gut bacteria that digest cellulose, breaking down plant cell walls and making plant nutrients available. Without these bacteria, the ants couldn't survive on herbivorous diets. They lack enzymes to process cellulose independently. The relationship is ancient and obligate. Certain ant lineages and their bacterial partners have co-evolved for millions of years, each unable to survive without the other. The bacteria are transmitted vertically, from queens to offspring, ensuring each generation receives necessary symbionts. Some ants actively cultivate their gut bacteria, providing conditions favoring bacterial growth and regulating bacterial populations to maintain optimal communities. This internal farming parallels external fungus farming. In both cases, ants maintain symbiotic partners that provide nutritional services ants can't achieve alone. The bacterial partnerships expanded ants' ecological niches, allowing colonization of environments and exploitation of food sources unavailable to species lacking these symbionts, demonstrating that evolution often proceeds through partnership, through assembling capabilities from multiple organisms, rather than developing all necessary functions within single species. Consider for a moment the queen's chemical influence. Queen pheromones serve multiple functions. They suppress worker reproduction by inhibiting ovarian development in workers, maintain colony cohesion by providing chemical signal that queen is present and healthy, and regulate worker behavior by influencing task allocation. But the control isn't absolute. Queen pheromones create thresholds rather than commands. Workers exposed to high queen pheromone concentrations don't reproduce, but those far from queen in large colonies experience lower concentrations and sometimes develop ovaries and lay eggs. The queen can't directly prevent this. She can only produce pheromones, and their diffusion through colony creates concentration gradients. Workers police each other, eating worker-laid eggs, maintaining queen's reproductive monopoly when her pheromones alone don't suffice. The system shows that queen control is combination of chemical influence and worker enforcement, that power in ant societies is distributed rather than absolute, that even queens depend on worker cooperation to maintain their position. In species with multiple queens, workers sometimes kill excess queens, regulating queen number to optimal levels. This demonstrates that workers aren't simply controlled by queens, but actively manage colony-level parameters, including queen populations, revealing agency and decision-making in workers that simple dominance models don't capture. And alongside this, there's something extraordinary about growth patterns. Ant colonies grow following predictable mathematical patterns, sigmoidal curves where growth begins slowly, accelerates exponentially, then plateaus as the colony approaches carrying capacity. The pattern reflects basic biological principles. Initial slow growth as founding queen establishes first workers, rapid growth once worker force is sufficient to exploit resources efficiently, and plateau when colony size is constrained by available resources or nest space. But growth patterns vary. Some species grow steadily, others show seasonal fluctuations, and environmental quality strongly influences growth rates and final colony size. Modeling colony growth requires accounting for multiple variables: worker production rates, worker mortality, food availability, nest site quality, creating complex equations that nonetheless produce surprisingly accurate predictions of colony development. The mathematical tractability of ant colonies makes them ideal systems for testing ecological theory. They're replicable, measurable, and follow growth laws that can be experimentally validated. Understanding colony growth informs conservation. Knowing how long colonies take to mature helps assess impact of disturbances, predict recovery times, and design management strategies. The mathematics reveal underlying order in seemingly chaotic biological processes, demonstrating that life, despite its complexity, follows describable patterns. This reveals something profound about suffering and consciousness. Whether ants experience pain, subjective suffering, rather than mere detection of damage, is philosophically unresolvable, but behaviorally interesting. Ants clearly detect injuries. They groom wounds, avoid using injured limbs, and modify behavior when damaged. But do they suffer? Suffering requires not just nociception, damage detection, but subjective experience of unpleasantness. Ants lack brain structures associated with suffering in mammals, but absence of similar structures doesn't definitively prove absence of experience. Consciousness might be implemented differently in insects. Behaviorally, ants don't show evidence of suffering. Injured ants continue working if capable, don't appear distressed beyond immediate response to injury, and generally behave functionally rather than emotionally. This could mean they don't suffer, or that their suffering is irrelevant to their behavior, or that they suffer but express it differently than mammals. The question matters ethically. If ants suffer, their vast numbers mean human activities cause enormous suffering when we exterminate colonies or conduct experiments. But if they don't suffer, ethical considerations differ. The uncertainty suggests precautionary approach, treating ants humanely when possible while recognizing their cognitive architecture likely produces experiences radically different from vertebrate suffering, which brings us to understand their evolutionary future. Ants continue evolving. Adaptation happens in real time as environments change and selection pressures shift. Urban environments create novel selection, ants adapting to human structures, food sources, and pest control efforts. Some species are becoming more polymorphic, developing more varied worker sizes as cities provide more diverse resources, requiring different specialists. Others are evolving resistance not just to pesticides, but to heat. Global warming selects for thermal tolerance as temperatures rise. The Argentine ant supercolonies may represent evolutionary transitions in progress. Selection might favor supercolonial organization, potentially leading to new forms of social structure where colony boundaries dissolve entirely. Human-mediated dispersal is creating new ant distributions. Invasive species establishing in regions they never naturally reached, encountering different competitors and environmental conditions, evolving under novel pressures. Centuries from now, ant lineages might differ measurably from today. Natural experiments in evolution observable across human lifetimes if we track populations consistently. The evolutionary future of ants is partly shaped by humans, our environments, our transportation systems, our pest control efforts, making us inadvertent evolutionary forces driving ant adaptation in directions we don't control or fully understand. And here's what this all reveals about mind itself. Studying ants raises fundamental questions about consciousness. What is mind? What is self? What is experience? Individual ants have limited cognitive abilities, yet colonies exhibit intelligence that emerges from their interactions. Is the colony conscious? Does it experience anything? There's no individual ant with overview of colony state, yet the colony behaves as if it knows its condition. adjusting reproduction, responding to threats, solving problems. This distributed consciousness, if it exists, differs fundamentally from centralized awareness familiar to us. It suggests consciousness might not require unified perspective, that awareness might be property of systems rather than individuals. Alternatively, perhaps colonies aren't conscious but simply appear intelligent through emergent complexity. Pattern recognition makes us see intention where only mechanism exists. The questions are unanswerable with current understanding. But ANTS challenge assumptions about consciousness, that it requires brains, centralization, individual perspective. They suggest that other forms of organized complexity might constitute other forms of mind, that we might share Earth with consciousnesses so different we can't recognize them. Whether ANTS experience anything or are philosophical zombies, behaving intelligently without internal experience, we cannot know. But their existence expands conception of what mind could be. This connects to something deeper about legacy. When ant colonies die, their physical legacy persists. Nest structures remain, often occupied by other ant species or other organisms. The soil ants moved persists in mounds or chambers. The seeds ants dispersed grow into plants. The aphids ants tended might survive, though without protection they may be consumed by predators. The ecosystem impacts, predation on certain species, seed dispersal patterns, soil turnover, fade as colonies vanish, but slowly, leaving traces that decay gradually rather than disappearing instantly. The genetic legacy continues if daughter colonies were founded, queens carrying genetic material into new colonies, perpetuating lineages even as founding colonies die. In this sense, colonies are immortal through reproduction, individual superorganisms mortal, but lineages potentially eternal. The knowledge legacy is lost. Learned roots, discovered food sources, developed traditions, all vanish when workers die. No cultural transmission to other colonies. Each colony starts fresh, rediscovering solutions rather than inheriting them, making ant societies eternally young, never accumulating wisdom across generations. This is limitation and freedom. Colonies can't preserve knowledge, but also aren't constrained by obsolete information. Each generation adapting to current conditions without burden of tradition, and as you release completely into sleep, let your final thoughts drift down through those soil layers we've explored, following roots down to where ant tunnels wind through darkness, where workers tend gardens they'll never see mature, where queens lay eggs that will hatch into daughters that will tend the queen in her old age, the cycle continuing endlessly. The ants don't rest as you do. They work in shifts, colonies always awake, always processing, always responding to needs and threats and opportunities. They've been doing this since before your species existed, will continue after it's gone. Success measured not in individual lives, but in colony persistence, lineage continuation, evolutionary fitness, accumulating across millions of years. Tonight they continue their ancient patterns, unaware of your existence, unaware they're remarkable, simply being what evolution made them, cooperative, specialized, successful beyond measure. The ants teach us that consciousness takes many forms, that intelligence emerges from many sources, that civilization doesn't require self-awareness or language or culture as we know them. They demonstrate that cooperation works, that collective action achieves what individuals cannot, that the whole can be vastly greater than sum of parts. They show that success doesn't require being large or intelligent in human terms. Ants succeed through different strengths, different strategies, different ways of organizing matter and information. They prove that our way isn't the only way, that life explores countless solutions to survival's challenges, that the small and seemingly simple can be as sophisticated as the large and complex. Rest now, knowing that beneath you, around you, throughout the world, ant societies continue their work, farming and herding, building and defending, communicating and cooperating. Civilizations as complex as ours in their own terms, demonstrating that life's possibilities exceed imagination, that consciousness and culture emerge in forms we barely recognize, that the Earth contains more wonder than any single species can comprehend. The ants will be here tomorrow, and the day after, and long after you and I are dust returning to soil they've already turned 1,000 times. They are Earth's quiet masters, successful beyond our comprehension, teaching lessons in cooperation we've yet to fully learn, showing us that there are other ways to live, other ways to think, other ways to build civilizations that endure. Sleep now. Let the ants work. They've been doing this far longer than we have, and they'll continue long after we rest. Sweet dreams, surrounded by hidden metropolises, by underground civilizations, by tiny farmers and herders and builders whose lives touch yours in ways you'll never see, but which shape the world you wake to tomorrow. Rest, and let the ants teach you, even in sleep, that cooperation is older than humanity, that civilization is broader than our culture, that success is measured in timescales that make human history seem brief, that life in all its forms is more remarkable than we usually notice. If this journey into the world of ants has brought you wonder, if you'd like to explore more mysteries together in the nights to come, I'd be grateful if you'd subscribe. There are endless subjects waiting to be discovered, endless facts that can carry us gently toward sleep, while expanding our understanding of this extraordinary world we share with creatures great and small, simple and complex, all living according to principles we're only beginning to comprehend. Good night.